pride of Turner, Oregon, is going to join us in a second. That's Tyrell Williams, along with Joy Taylor. I'm Doug Gottlieb. Welcome in. This is, in fact, The Herd. He's Tyrell Williams, of course, 5 years in the NFL, 4 with my Chargers before he became a turncoat and decided to play for the then Oakland, now Las Vegas Raiders. From undrafted rookie to a guy who signs a big deal last offseason. Tyrell, how are you?
I'm doing good, man.
I looked it up, right? You went to high school in Turner, Oregon, right?
Yeah.
How many, what is, paint that picture for what your high school days were like.
High school days, shoot, I don't even think we have a stoplight in Turner, but tiny little town, really close. Everybody knows everybody, so it's real small. And
then you go to Western Oregon, and you make the Chargers as an undrafted rookie free agent.
Yeah.
Your first day, when you get to first day of training camp, and you got Phillip Rivers out there, and you're wearing the lightning bolts, what was that like in terms of jump up in level of competition from what you were used to?
It was crazy. The speed, the size, everything was a lot different. Going out there and seeing, Phil, like you said, and then seeing Antonio Gates, guys that are Hall of Famers. I mean, it was awesome to be around those type of guys and just see how they work, and I had Malcolm Floyd. He helped me out a lot when I first got there. And so, those guys really just helped me kind of understand what it was like to be in the NFL and move on. What
is that feeling like of because I'll just share full disclosure. I never made it to the NBA, never made it to an NBA training camp, but I would be in free agent camp 3 times over with the Lakers and a couple other ones, one with Minnesota. And I always imagine what it would be like, because you'd walk in and Mitch Kupchak would be like, hey, man, thanks. You're doing great. You're getting better. Maybe next year. And you shake his hand. They were really classy. And what can we do travel-wise for you? I always wondered what it was like to walk down that same hallway, walk in, the GM's like, hey, we're keeping you. Here's a contract. What was that like?
Definitely exciting. Crazy. I was just kind of didn't really know what to do that day, kind of just walking around the locker room. And I finally just went back to the hotel and just kind of just waited. Finally got the call, and it felt surreal, honestly.
Who called you? Was it your agent?
My receiver coach.
Who was that?
Fred Graves. Fred Graves called me, told me I was going to make the 53.
Wait. See, when the phone rings, though, you're like, uh-oh.
Nervous. Super nervous.
Yes.
Don't know what's going to happen. And then he just says, he kind of was super coy about it, and then just said, we're going to put you on the 53, like it was no big deal. But for me, I was kind of going crazy on the inside. So, it was awesome. Best feeling.
Best feeling. And then obviously signing last year as a free agent with a huge deal is an even better feeling, like life-changing money. What is it like to play with Phillip Rivers?
Oh, it's awesome. It's what you see, that competitiveness. He brings that every day on the practice field, training camp, games. He kind of lifts everybody around him, and you just kind of have that drive that he has. And I had a lot of fun playing with him. What
about him is different now that you've played with Derek? What about him is different? Compare and contrast the 2 guys that you've played with.
They're kind of similar in the way that they kind of just carry themselves, off the field and on the field. I think Phil's just kind of got a little bit more of that. I think you see it, the way he talks trash to a lot of guys, and he's just kind of different in that way. But they're really similar, in their faith and everything, how they walk off the field. So it was a pretty easy transition for me to go and be with Derek.
Tyrell Williams from the Las Vegas Raiders joining us here in The Herd. Doug Gottlieb filling in for Colin Cowherd. Okay, so you signed with the Raiders last year as a free agent. Chargers just couldn't afford to keep you, right? You got too good for them, and you blow up. When you signed with the Raiders, what were your expectations coming into the year?
I wasn't really sure. It was the first time I had been going to a new team, and my expectation, I wanted to come out there and and take over, do what I had been doing with the Chargers and really elevate from there. And so that was really my expectation, go out there and just, give everything I had and really understand what my role was going to be.
It's an odd year because, one, you had Hard Knocks there, and then 2, there was the Antonio Brown. He's there, he's not there, he burns his feet and all that stuff. What was that like to be a part of? This is your first training camp with a new team. Then you guys are all mic'd up. There's cameras around, and there's all the AB stuff going on.
Yeah, I think it was distracting for a little bit. I think as we kind of moved on through training camp, it kind of became, more normal. It was kind of, I think we had a lot of young guys, a lot of new guys. So just going through it wasn't too distracting once we kind of just figured out what it was going to be, and we just were able to move on. I think Gruden did a good job of just kind of keeping our head down and just keep moving and know that if we did get AB back, we're going to be better. If we didn't, then we were going to be able to, move on with how we were through training camp.
Knock on wood if you're with me, right? Knock on wood if you're with Tyrell Williams joining us here in The Herd. Okay, so then, but oftentimes there's things that can be distracting, but this one actually affected you, right? Because, wait, am I going to be the Z or is he going to be the Z? How hard was that to get ready for a season where, like, he's supposed to be the one, you're supposed to be the two. The plays are different, the routes are different, everything is different. How was that for you prepping for the season?
Honestly, it wasn't bad because my second year in the league, Keenan ended up getting hurt, and I got kind of elevated to that number one spot. So I was used to really learning every position and being able to understand coverages and where I needed to be. So I had been in that situation before, and so I kind of always, every season, came in prepping, in case someone goes down, whatever it is, I want to be able to play every position and know what to do. So it was pretty seamless for me to be able to just come in and know where to play if I was playing X, Z, and know what to do and just try to elevate my role in that way.
Okay, so Gruden's a guy who, look, he'd been doing a long time in the, when he was in Oakland, when he was in Tampa, but then he was in the TV booth. Like, you hadn't played for the guy, you played against the guy. Was there a moment where you felt like there was an amount of buy-in where, you know what, this guy does know what the hell he's talking about? For
sure. I think it was through OTAs. You kind of just see, I always saw what he was on TV and everything and never knew what kind of guy he was going to be. But he really, when I talked to him through free agency and everything, he really never changed. He was always kind of the same guy, good motivator, liked being around him, funny guy. But then he also just knows exactly what he wants to get done on the field. So, I love playing for him.
All right, you led the Raiders in receiving touchdowns, second on the team in receiving yards, only 651 yards. And Bleacher Report tagged you as the most overpaid wide receiver and underperforming your first year with the Raiders. Now, some dudes that just come back at Bleacher Report on Twitter. You have the floor, okay? How do you feel about Bleacher Report labeling you as such?
I kind of feel like I've always been underrated. I don't think I played how I wanted to play last year. Definitely, I feel like I could have done a lot better, and I was dealing with some injury stuff. But I know I was out on the field, so I gotta play better. And I know I'm excited for this upcoming season. Prove people like that wrong. You
had plantar fasciitis, right?
Yeah.
Okay, now did it tear? Because I was under the impression that the only way that thing actually gets fixed is if it fully tears through. Like, it's a really what actually happens for you personally with your foot?
Mine never tore, and I had it in both of my feet, and neither one tore. So I was just kind of hoping that would eventually happen, so I could get some relief. But it never really. It kind of just stayed the same all year, and that was a frustrating thing.
So how do you rehab? What do you do to fix that?
There's really not much, honestly. You can stretch, you can do some exercise and stuff, but when you're going out there and you still got to run every day, it kind of just takes away from the little work that you did do for it.
What's the sense you have on who your quarterback's going to be next season?
I think that's above my pay grade. I think that Gruden and Mayock, I think they'll make the right decision for the team. I love Derek, and I hope that we're able to work things out and that moving forward. But you just, above my pay grade, see what they go and do.
I know it has to be awkward though, right? You're like, hey, I love Derek, but if Tom Brady throws you a football, that doesn't sound like it would stink either.
Yeah, obviously Tom's one of the greatest ever. So we'll see what happens.
Is there a text chain of Raiders where you guys are? Well, he opened a production company in LA where you guys are wondering about this thing.
No, definitely not. That hasn't been a group chat or anything like that.
Okay, the biggest difference in playing for the Raiders and playing for the Chargers is what?
Fans.
You actually have home games.
Actually have home games. There's fans everywhere. They're into the game. The stadium's full. And that was something that, I had coming from Western Oregon. I never had played in a big stadium with home fans there either. So it was kind of the same with the Chargers. And then coming to Oakland that week one against Denver on Monday night was unbelievable. And then it kind of stayed the same throughout the rest of the year, and it was awesome.
Yeah, I'm fascinated by this. Your last game in Oakland, and they actually done this before, where there had been a last game in Oakland. But was there a connection? I always wondered, you're not a football mercenary. You haven't played on 15 different teams, but you had played on the rival team for the first 4 years. Now you're a Raider. You played 8 home games, or actually 7 home games, right? And then you have to act like you guys are really sad at leaving Oakland. What was that experience like, the last game in Oakland?
It was awesome, honestly. The energy there was crazy, and I just love, when I played for the Chargers, my favorite place to go and play was against Oakland, just because the Bay Area music that they play in the stadium, the fans are crazy, and so being on the right side of that was awesome, and to feel the energy for that last game. It was cool.
But at least you didn't start dropping hella in the middle of sentences like people in Northern California do, right?
No.
You can't do the hella thing.
No.
Just randomly dropping hella in there. You're like, man. Man, I made it out of Oakland without completely changing my way of sentence structure. Last thing, are you open to the idea of avocado ice cream? Would you, if Brady says like, hey, you can be my guy, but you got to try this avocado ice cream. It's a new team diet.
I'll try it for sure, but I'm not going to eat it regularly, I don't think. I mean, it might be good, but I'm not trying it. Or I will try it, but
That's a semi over my. Tyrell, thanks so much for joining us.
Appreciate it.
Tyrell Williams of.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from The Herd or go watch a few segments from other shows on FS1.